Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? Hey, Charlie. Hello, Adoko. Good to see you. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can get my YouTube stream going. I know last time I actually had it going when I didn't know I had it going. So let's see if I did the same thing today. I don't know how I figured it out last time. So bear with me for just a few moments and let me see if I can figure this out. Hello, is anyone there on YouTube? Say hello to me if you are. Let me know that you're there. Hello, champion. Hello, Cosmopolite. Good to see you. I got it right this time. Yay, me. Super, super exciting. I am hoping that this all works. Oh, there we go. Yay, YouTube is on. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm super excited that I am doing the technology right. Yay. And it only took me a minute this time instead of last time. It took me like 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, how is everyone today? I hope you're doing well. I am currently simulcasting on the Moan app and on YouTube. And today we're going to be talking about communication. So, super excited about this. This is a piece I wrote back in 2019. And what I'm going to do for those of you who have not been to my previous Throwback Thursday lives, what I'm going to do is I am going to share this piece with you, and then I'm going to engage with you in your comments, your questions about the topic, and I'm going to share some of the comments that we got when I posted this before. And I really like engaging with y'all about the topics and the content that I'm sharing. So super duper excited about this. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate on YouTube to throw them in the chat because I will be keeping an eye as we go along. And for those of you on Moan, of course, I will be inviting you to, step up on the stage and share your own experiences and ask your own questions as well. Hey, Kale, good to see you. For those of you who don't know, Kale is the founder of Moan. Always a pleasure to see him in my chats. Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Nookie, or Miss Nookie if you prefer to use an honorific. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am the founder of datingkinky.com, where I have been writing and producing and so on and so forth for years. And today's throwback content is from July of 2019. And it's actually inspired just recently a writing and a podcast I have coming up next week about communication being a tool, not a solution. And since I wrote that piece and I referenced this original writing while I was putting that one together, and I'd not yet decided on the article for today's throwback, I figured it would be a perfect time to fit it in well. And after looking it over again, excuse me, I believe I was right. It's a good fit. And there was some amazing conversation when it was originally posted that I think will build a strong framework for y'all on next week's piece, which is the start of a short series about communication being a tool and not a solution. So let's get started. Communication is not the most important part of a relationship, kinky or otherwise. And this is coming from someone who teaches communication classes. So, what's the most important thing in a relationship if it's not communication? Appreciating your partner, truly appreciating them, deeply appreciating them, wonderfully appreciating them. Appreciate who they are as people. Appreciate what they do for you. Appreciate their character and drive. Appreciate their quirks and foibles. Now, Cobalt just said in the chat, compatibility. Absolutely, compatibility is huge. And compatibility also often determines how much we can appreciate someone. Because when we're not compatible, when our weird parts are rubbing like sandpaper against their weird parts, it's really, really hard to get appreciation. So, and here's the thing, without that appreciation, regardless of how much you try to communicate, you're going to run into communication killers. The things that will make your conversations into arguments and your collaborations into battles. So you'll lose the benefit of the doubt to get you through stressful times or hurtful times, right? So if you don't have appreciation for your partner, no matter how much you try to communicate, that benefit of the doubt isn't going to be there, right? You'll try to make them over into somebody you can appreciate, or try to run their lives. Or, and this is a big one that I'm sure you've all seen and you've all done, because we all have done it, and you've all experienced from a partner, creating rules like you might for a child. And I'm guessing you know that rarely goes over well, right? Because when we are adults collaborating on a relationship, the last thing we need is somebody telling us how to behave, right? It doesn't go over well. And honestly, it shouldn't go over well. The thing is, you don't just need appreciation for your partner. And this goes actually back to last week's live. You are worthy. Because you must have appreciation for you. Unless you feel strength and contribution and the ability to make good choices for yourself, you will have a hard time truly appreciating your partner. Because you won't be sure you picked the right one. And doubts will eat at you and erode what you've built. And you won't trust. And communication, which is critically important, won't happen. Or it'll happen poorly, right? It'll be hobbled. It'll be missing pieces that are important. Okay? So that is the original writing. And so Cobalt says, wow, that just came together in my head. I see it now. Thank you. Awesome. So glad, because this is obviously, it's critically important. So when I posted that original writing, it created some really interesting responses and conversations. And I'm going to share those with you now. And then I'm going to ask if any of you would like to come up and ask questions or share your own experiences. So, Indecent said, but in order for your partner to know you appreciate him or her, you have to communicate it. Communication wins. Well, I mean, sure. But what I'm talking about is not whether your partner knows you appreciate them, but whether you know you appreciate them, whether you feel that appreciation, and whether your behavior is based on appreciation for your partner. Does that make sense to everyone? Because it's great, it's important, it's critical that your partner feels appreciated by you. But the only way for your partner to feel appreciated by you is for you to actually feel that appreciation. And then, yes, communication is absolutely important. I am not at all saying that communication is not important. I'm simply saying that there are other ways to look at all of this and to stay on top of things, right? So Cobalt says boundaries protect the appreciable stuff. Lack of self-worth depletes the self, depriving both self and others the energy to appreciate. So boundaries, all of you know how much I love boundaries. And boundaries are what help you protect the parts of yourself that allow you the space you need to appreciate your partner. Okay. So Kimero added, this cannot be overemphasized. There is no substitute for gratitude. There is no substitute for gratitude in a relationship. You can't out-communicate a lack of appreciation or gratitude for your partner, because communication is not just the words you say, it is every action that you take with your partner from the moment you meet them until the moment that you two are no longer together, right? So if you don't have appreciation, if you don't have gratitude, that will eventually be communicated. Unikitty countered, we should teach gratitude and appreciation as basic relationship skills for sure. Not everyone knows this intrinsically. But the other thing is that there is no most important thing in a relationship. You can appreciate me all you want. If you leave out something else important, like how you show me that appreciation, it'll be for naught. If you show it but fail to communicate your own wants and needs for me to fulfill, you'll likely stop appreciating me because you won't feel reciprocated. Valid. 100% valid. So Anna Dory says, so knowing and actually using your partner's love languages, which isn't only spoken. Absolutely. Definitely. Spot on. And it's appreciating your partner's love languages as well. A little story that I like to tell is when my partner and I got together, we talked about our love languages, and his are touch and words of affirmation, and mine are gifts and quality time. And he did not have an appreciation for gifts. He didn't understand it. It felt superficial to him. It felt greedy, until I was able to explain to him that for gifts, the key is not whether it's expensive or whether they come all of the time. It's that for me, a gift shows that someone was thinking about me when I was not there. And the gift that they choose for me shows that they know who I am as a person and what I love, and that they care about what I love. And a gift, and I'll show you, like, this is a gift. This is a little note right here from my partner. I keep it right next to my computer. He wrote it one night for me. It says, good morning, my queen. I wanted to tell you that I appreciate and love you. You are an amazing woman. Thank you for rocking my world. That's a gift. And once we got that understanding, he was then able to appreciate how important it is to me to have gifts, because they also remind me, like, for example, sitting next to my computer, of him and how much I appreciate him when we're not together. Right? So it's not just knowing and actually using your partner's love languages. It's also appreciating your partner's love languages and what they tell you about your partner. Make sense? Bondage Nexus showed their appreciation. I appreciate communication. And your essay makes a great point. While I would say that communication is the most important thing, I also know that I assume positive intent from both parties. If I didn't appreciate them, I doubt I'd trust them with full communication, right? Which is a good point. Oh, Anna Dory, this is great. I found out recently that I found this shiny rock, leaf, etc., and it made me think of you is called pebbling, like penguins. I do that for a good friend of mine. She absolutely loves little rocks, little leaves, little interesting pieces of things that I pick up on the street. So, yes, I pebble for a friend of mine and one of my close inner circle of loved ones. Always Coffee had a good addition. I would add that respect for each other is a top priority, always an absolute. And I agree. I think, to me, respect and appreciation are very hand in hand. I don't think that I can appreciate somebody if I don't respect them. I can respect somebody if I don't appreciate them, but for me, I don't think it would go the other way around. Now, your mileage may vary on that. I'm not saying there is any one right way. And even when I talk about appreciation being key in a relationship, this is my view that I'm sharing with you in order to hopefully get your gears going. I'm not trying to dictate to you about anything, right? Because everyone is different. So Vidar came in with a comment and gave me the answer years ago. And I'm just now getting around to doing something with it. Here's what he said. Communication is so overrated. I get irritated every time I see people describe it as a panacea. Words are so often bullshit. Communication is not a panacea, right? And that's the key that I'm trying to get across to you today, is that communication is a tool. And next week, on the post that I have going up, I'm going to talk about how communication is a tool and how we sometimes use it incorrectly. Eddie Vol came in with some good debate. As a comm professor myself, I would rephrase what you have here. Because how do you show appreciation? Communication. If you need to appreciate someone, you do it through communication. So communication is still the most important thing, also being the only way we start and maintain our relationships. The takeaway would be show appreciation and empathy through communication. I do agree communication doesn't solve all the problems. Some relationships cannot be reconciled. The title could be a little less absolute. Maybe it's a clickbait thing. I don't know. So I actually responded to that. And especially that bit about the title being less absolute, maybe it's a clickbait thing. And here's what I have to say. I wrote the title as I believe it. Communication is important. I teach communication. I have a series of writings about communication. At the time, I was working on a book about communication. I did not say communication was not important at all. I said it was not the most important thing in a relationship. Because communication without appreciation, love, good intent, etc., communication can also do deep harm to a relationship as you communicate those lacks, right? And Eddie Vol replied and said, I see now, communication from a place of appreciation is the most important thing. Thanks for the clarification, right? So we're not taking communication out of the picture. We're not saying it's not important. We're simply saying that communication from a place of appreciation and love and affection is going to be critical, because otherwise what you're doing is you're communicating I'm feeling pissy right now. I'm annoyed by you. You're not good enough. I don't appreciate you. Another comment by Baby Doll Wheeler came in. I was so flabbergasted by the title that I had to know what you thought was more important than communicating. But reading it, I have to agree. I was in a 10-year relationship with someone who didn't appreciate the things I did for him. It hurt me so much, and when he left, I promised myself I would never let myself go unappreciated again. Right? Big, big claps for that. Unicorn Minerva said, interesting. And how does one express appreciation without communication if communication is not the most important? Is not appreciation a form of communication? So I replied, appreciation is defined as recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something, a full understanding of a situation. So to me, no, it is not a form of communication. It's a feeling. To show appreciation is communication, yes. To communicate it, of course, you have to feel it. Otherwise, you're communicating something else: desire, disgust, possessiveness, boredom, etc. Endless Loves said that they read through the comments and then they added their own perspective to what was being discussed in a way that I think perfectly rounds out this part of the cast. Thanks for sharing this. You brought this out so beautifully. I saw some comments on how do we show appreciation without communication. This is what I feel. Appreciation can also be something we feel deeply inside us towards someone. Probably that's why the author, Nookie Notes, says that communication won't happen without appreciation. When we feel that appreciation towards someone deeply, the way we communicate with them completely changes into something very positive. Thank you again for sharing this, Nookie Notes. So, moving forward. Ooh, Cobalt. Let's see. For those of us who didn't grow up in an environment of respect and appreciation, is there a way to learn how to hear that intent in others as opposed to the more familiar abuse? I think Anna Dory mentioned the love languages. So working on your love languages. Also, pay attention to what you do hear. And when you hear something that makes you feel good, communicate to your partners that, hey, that really makes me feel good. And I would love to hear it again in the future. Anytime that you think it, feel free to tell me, right? Because if you can give that positive feedback immediately and they can take that positive feedback, you're going to be able to create a positivity appreciation loop. Does that make sense? Because it's about watching for the things when they happen and then giving the feedback on them. But also because you may not recognize it, looking for ways to recognize those things when people are interacting with you. Do they smile? Do they look you in the eyes? Do they engage with you perhaps more than, they engage with the television or whatever it is? You have to look for the little ways. And another good way, and I just thought about this, ask your partner, hey, when you appreciate me, what do you appreciate about me? What is it about me that you appreciate? And have them tell you, and then talk about ways to reinforce those things. And also maybe talk with your partner about the types of things that you would like to be appreciated for. There's, again, communication, right? But the communication has to come from that place of, I appreciate you being in my life, and here are the things I'd like to know or hear or feel more from you. So, question for you all. Is appreciation as important as I make it out? What do you think? Is communication the most important part of a relationship? Why or why not? So, if there anyone on Moan who would like to come in and share some thoughts on this particular topic? And of course, anyone on YouTube is absolutely welcome to pop something in the chat. Hello, Cosmopolite. How are you this afternoon?
Hi. I am good. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking.
So earlier you said when you were talking about what you needed in order to appreciate your partner, you mentioned strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everything kind of starts with appreciating yourself.
Yes.
Because you can't really, I feel like communicating is really a struggle. And appreciating others is a struggle if you can't appreciate yourself. So I think it kind of starts there.
I think there's truth in that. And I also think that it can be a trap. And let me explain what I mean by that. Because a lot of people kind of get caught up in this idea. The main cliche is you can't love others until you love yourself, right? So people get caught up in this idea. And I don't want to say you can't appreciate others until you can appreciate yourself. What I do want to say, though, is that appreciating yourself makes appreciating others easier. So even if you don't appreciate yourself, even all of us have times when we're maybe not so positive about ourselves, but we can still look at somebody else and say, I am thankful to have them in my life. Right? So that appreciation can come from somewhere. And then hopefully, as we grow, we can start to turn that around and say, you know what? I have them in my life. I appreciate them. I'm feeling appreciated by them as they spend time in my life with me. Right? So hopefully, you can kind of start that spiral up by using the positive feedback, engaging with your partner in a healthy way, and bringing that all sort of back to, the what works here for me. So yeah, the thing about appreciation and the thing about loving yourself and appreciating yourself, from my perspective, is that both of those things make good communication easier, make setting boundaries easier, and so on and so forth. It's not that those things cannot happen without them, but they make those things easier, and therefore they make having a healthy relationship, appreciating others, loving others, and being a part of others' lives not quite so challenging. Does that make sense? Okay, so Cobalt says, I think of love as a feeling, but appreciation seems more like a verb. It's a choice and an act. And let me throw this one in there. So we can practice self-appreciation even when we aren't feeling great. So some people say that love is actually a choice and an act as well. It depends on how you look at this. I think to love somebody is definitely an act. To show appreciation is definitely a behavior, an act. But I think that whenever we are not feeling something that we want to feel about ourselves, it is important to look for the ways to practice that. Okay. Is there anyone else on Moan that might want to come up and share some thoughts or have some ideas or ask some questions? I've got a little bit of time and I'm happy to go through them. If not, I'm also happy to wrap this up. So it's up to any and all of you. Thank you for being so responsive to questions. I am absolutely happy to be responsive to questions. Questions are, for me, a big part of why I do this. I like going live. I like being able to take the questions because to me, it helps people, grok and process the information. You ask the questions from your perspective. So I try to answer them for your perspective so that you can move forward without being stuck. So that's it. Okay, since I haven't gotten any more bites, I'm happy to close this show out today. Thank you so much for joining me. This will be up on YouTube either immediately, or sometimes I take them down and I put them up with all of the captions. So keep an eye on that. But if you feel that there's anybody who could benefit from this, please don't hesitate to mention, Nookie from Dating Kinky. Dating Kinky on YouTube, Nookie Notes on FetLife, Miss Nookie on the Moan app. Feel free to find me, follow me, ask me any questions, engage with me about the topic. Because a lot of the time, the questions that I get, those actually end up being new writings. St. Lou, you are very welcome. Thank you so much to all of you for joining me. Have a most wonderful day.